If we shoot the Elishnorn, all their zombies die and then they draw like 5 cards. They're gonna send it out to Liliana, that's a good idea. If we shoot the Elishnorn, this will go up to 4 loyalty and kill that. They'll still draw a bunch of cards, but at least it'll be off the battlefield. Yeah, I'm gonna pap the Elishnorn right now. Pull this band-aid off.
Today at Commander Replay, it's 3 aggro decks versus mono black control. Can our Samut deck find a way to break through the removal? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, help support me and save 15% on singles by using the promo code REPLAY at mothershipaTX.com. Commander Replay t-shirts, available in orange and colors beside orange.
Welcome back, everyone. We are playing some Samut Voice of Dissent, and today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter D-Manny, who's in the game, also piloting Samut. Gonna be a little bit of a mirror match today. We'll see how this goes. I did play this deck one time earlier today, and I have faced this deck a bunch of times while he's been playing it, and it's gotten to me quite a few times. It's a lot of creatures, and it gets overwhelming very fast. It generates value in a lot of different ways, and unless you have a lot of removal, it's just hard to stop the train. So this is going to be a stronger game of Magic today that we're playing. In one game, I think I posted the video for it, I can't quite remember. He had a perfect hand where he was able to kill someone with an Angel of Destiny trigger on turn 4, so it can be that kind of fast, but isn't always. That was things working out magically. It's not always going to be that fast, but it is a very strong deck. He specifically built it to have no combos, so basically trying to go as strong as he could, minus the combos, and but yeah, it's a fun deck. I've seen it a few times. I've played it one time already, and he let me make just a couple changes before the game based on some feedback that I had after my first game with the deck. Ooh, D-Manny went down to 5. Ouch. There's an Eternal Witness. Those are handy. Play Command Tower. What are we getting? I'm just going to Worldly Tutor right now so we can tap out. Probably just want mana. Yeah, we'll go for a Tri-Belter, I guess. Alright, we've survived turn 1 and no one has dropped any mana rocks. That's cool. Passes from Kaalia. So I ran a Kaalia deck for a long time, and even with like every Signet, sometimes you just don't get them in your opener. There's a Hanger Backwalker X1 for the Ghoulcaller Gisa. Yeah. Brings it to our turn 2. There's the Tri-Belter. So let's play the Mountain, play the Tri-Belter, and we'll pass like that. We could have gone for something more interesting with the Worldly Tutor, but honestly, just getting the lands. I played this deck one time already, and it did all right, but I was a little bit jammed up on lands. I was a little bit stuck just because, like, a lot of the ramp was in creature form, and that was causing some problems because there was a lot of bounce in that game, so just not having the ramp in play was a little bit troublesome, but there's a new Kaalia coming in, so opponent will get to look at the top 6 and put an Angel, Demon, or Dragon into their hand. It's a Balefire Dragon, no big deal. Oh, God, can that do some stuff. Yeah, that's terrifying. Opponent's got a Hanger Backwalker. No attacks, we'll sack the Tri-Belter. What color are we getting? We need double green, so let's get a forest. Brings it back to our turn. There's a Nykthos, sweet. Play the Canopy Vista. I guess we could play this thing and just, like, shoot the Hanger Backwalker. Yeah, it's not a terrible idea. Gives us something to do this turn. And then we can Eldritch Evolution this into something, like, really cool. Or we can go Light and Shadow and just get back that Tri-Belter, which isn't awful either. So both are good. Opponent's going to put a counter on the Hanger Back. We'll destroy the Hanger Back. Opponent gets 2 Thopters. So yeah, we'll take a quick peek at the deck. Here's the list. This deck is built to be one of those, like, all threats type of decks, and it doesn't have a ton of removal, and that's kind of one of the edits. So the cards that I've added to the deck... Ooh, he's going to drop in a Birthing Pod. Yeah, those are good. They do things. Opponent going to swing into us with the Kaalia. Yep, no blocks. Anyway, so here's the cards that I've added to the deck. I added Fire and Ice, not because I want it to be a Voltron deck, but because of the repeatable removal, repeatable card draw. Umezawa's Jite, same sort of thing. Repeatable removal with the double strike is a big deal, and this deck is a little bit lacking on the removal, so I think those are going to help with the problem solving a lot. Utopia Sprawl and Wild Growth replacing 2 1-drop Mana Dorks. I get that those are good with Samut, but these basically do the same thing later in the game, just that they're less fragile than a Mana Dork. I've added Aven Mind Sensor and Thalia in place of a Wood Elves and in place of bigger Thalia. Earlier, I was facing a lot of blue decks, a lot of spell-based decks, and these are the type of cards that will be good against that type of opponent. Based on what I've seen, the deck is already really well suited to like creature combat and stuff like that. So I really felt like having some answers against like blue-style decks is going to be a really good thing for this deck. So some better hate bears for more combo-y type opponents I think is going to be a good thing. Faced 2 Kest decks today. How unlucky was that? It was, they were a grind. Just staring at all the spells in their graveyard, I'm like, well, Kest is in play. Gonna see those spells a second time. It's really good. Opponent does poke us with a Thopter right there. And they're gonna Diabolic Intent, sacrifice, and go get something. So, like, just suppose we drew Umezawa's off the top right here. We would equip it and then shoot this Kaalia and then not worry about this Kaalia for a couple turns. And that would be awesome. And that's what I think Umezawa's can do for this deck. Anyway, that brings us back to our turn. There's Selvala. Selvala's actually really good in this deck. What I'm going to do right here is play a Nykthos. I think I want to do that Tri-Belder thing that we talked about. We're going to play a Light and Shadow. Equip the Light and Shadow. Yep, we'll poke the bear. Swing into Sean. Light and Shadow hits. We gain 3 life, and we can bring back the Tri-Belder. And we'll pass like that. D-Manny just passes. That's interesting. Oh, he did mull to 5, yeah. So, just not a lot going on right now. That is one thing that I noticed too. There's no wheels in the deck. I might look at a Wheel of Misfortune just for something like mull to 5s and stuff like that. Yep, there's Boots in the Kaalia. Makes it a lot harder to get rid of. A wheel can be really powerful for getting out of a bad mulligan. Also, this deck doesn't really run like Cultivate and Kodamas, and I would probably run those over some things instead. Opponent opts to go not in our direction with the Bell. Oh, it's a Dracuseth. That's why. All the big dragons in their hand. Uh-oh. We'll find out how well this deck is suited to dealing with big dumb creatures. And by dumb, I mean big fiery creatures that burn all your stuff and make it so you never have permanents in play. Those type of creatures. Oh, what do we have in the air that can go toe-to-toe with 2 big fiery dragons? Angel of Destiny is actually reasonable as a 6 toughness creature. Does hold up all right. Against those dragons, not going to do so much. That's a 5/7. If you put the sword on it, actually gets up to 9 toughness. That could be a thing. Yeah, I might have to look into some of that stuff. Ooh, opponent gets themselves a Mazavith. Our days of sorting stuff might be over. Take a quick peek at what our opponents are playing today. As we mentioned, D-Manny piloting Samut. Essentially the same lists that we're piloting. I made about 4 or 5 changes, so other than those, a mirror match. In the middle, we've got Sean piloting Kaalia of the Vast, and it's doing Kaalia things. Dracuseth in play, Balefire Dragon waiting in hand. All seems really good. And then on the side, we've got Maru Powell piloting Ghoulcaller Gisa, the mono black deck that has showed up on the channel a lot and gets stuck on mana every single time. We'll see if they can break the mold today. They do have a bunch of swamps and Cabal Stronghold in play. They have tutored one time. So, curious to see what the deck can actually do if it doesn't just get stuck. There's a forest. I actually like that. We do need the land right here. Play the land. I know we could try to get tricky with the Nykthos and stuff, but I think I'm just going to end step, cast Samut, and then on our next turn cast this Selvala, because Selvala is so incredibly strong in this deck. Anything we want to do is worth waiting to Samut at end step, and then just doing Selvala. That should give us a bunch of green mana to cast all of this stuff as we need to. So that's going to be my plan right here. Yeah, I'll poke Sean again. He has a bunch of dragons. Does he maze us? Yeah, he's going to maze. That's fine. And we'll just pass. Voyaging Satyr for opponent. He runs Gaia's Cradle in the deck, so like if that comes in, that can be an issue with the Satyr. It can make a lot of mana. And they're just going to feed that to the Birthing Pod. Let's see what they get. It's a Wood Elves trying to get their own ramp going. That was one of the cards I cut just to add some of the other stuff in. Signet for opponent. Let's see what opponent wants to do with their giant flying army. Little Kaalia over to D-Manny, Dracuseth over to the mono black player, good Kaalia into us, and that probably means a Balefire coming our way. Goes for an Archfiend of Despair instead. Ooh. At the beginning of each end step, that opponent loses life equal to the amount of life that player lost this turn. It affects opponents only. Ew. Opponent went to our face with Dracuseth, so they actually leave our creature. Yeah, no blocks. We gonna feel this? I am worried about this Mazavith. Our normal plan would be to like hit a bunch of things with a sword, but Mazavith can stop all that. Here's the Archfiend of Despair trigger at the end step. Whew, down to 20. Opponents basically cut us in half. And the next turn's gonna be a doozy. Come on, board wipe. It's a Noxious Gear Hulk, that's a start. Ooh, we can't gain life. That's a thing. Either of these are good. Which one do they go for? They want to go for the Archfiend of Despair. Yeah, that gets us all killed really quickly. Dracuseth's still a problem too, though. Archfiend down. We can gain life again, though, and that's helpful, I think. All right, end step time. Get Samut in here. Could really use a removal spell off the top. Generous Gift just so happens to be a removal spell. We can get rid of the Dracuseth. Balefire Dragon, still a problem for us. Potentially we could throw out a flying blocker with Eldritch Evolution. Issue being, yeah, we'd have to shoot the Dracuseth first. Also do something like Generous Gift on Dracuseth, then Eternal Witness. Do it again? Get it back? Doesn't seem awful. I think, yeah, maybe it's Selvala time. Let's Selvala. Tap Selvala. We get a Cinderglade. Play the Cinderglade. Only 1 green mana. A Clackbridge Troll, huh? Spicy card. Problem sort of becomes if we untap and try this again, we use all of our white mana, we can't Generous Gift. We could do something like this, though. Nope, that doesn't work. Maybe we just Generous Gift and then Eternal Witness? Yeah, that seems like... I'm going to cast the Tri-Builder right now. Crack the Tri-Builder. Actually, we can attack with it. Yeah, we'll just crack it. Let's get a Plains, and let's go to combat. Both a Chun. Ooh, we can Generous Gift the Maze of Ith. Opponent's going to maze the one with the sword, that's fine. And we're going to pass like that, sit on the Generous Gift. Man, there's a lot of things we need to Generous Gift. Ooh, that's a Cleansing Nova. That actually solves all of our problems, okay. Yeah, we'll untap the Selvala then. Waiting on that board wipe. It's going to be a scary game without it. Tap Selvala one more time. There's another Plains. You know what we can do? We have 1 white, 2 white. Yeah. We can use this to add Devotion equal to white, and then Generous Gift this Maze of Ith. And the token will get destroyed. Assuming that opponent doesn't have a Teferi's Protection. Because they do have 3 mana up right now, and that could be backbreaking. Or a Boros Charm. They let it resolve. Maze down. Creatures down. Love it. And we've ramped a bit now, so this is where we want to be. We are slowly getting ahead of our opponents. Even though there's a lot of scary stuff on board. We have 8 lands in play. It's turn 6, and one of them is a Nykthos, so that can make multiples quickly. Ooh, that's a Mana Geyser. We thinking Hasty Balefire Dragon? Balefire Dragon, 11 mana, Wheel of Fortune! That's not the worst thing. We get a fresh 7. Ooh, Path on the Balefire on the way out. Thinking not. The removal's firing off. Those are magic cards. Gaddock Teague, Elish Norn, Cleansing Nova, Craterhoof Behemoth. Yeah, this is basically the win condition for this deck. Opponent's gonna Vampiric Tutor main phase. Has a bunch of red floating mana. Don't know if they have much to do with it. What'd they get rid of? They discarded an Angelic Arbiter and a Razaketh. Those hurt. Those are good cards. But I guess they probably need the mana and the ramp to get to them. It's always the tricky part of playing Kaalia. Dockside Extortionists. 2? I think that's only 2. It does get them another color of mana, though, and that's kind of a big deal. Could easily drop an Angel after this. Graveshifter. Enters battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, yeah, that's a plan. What are we getting back? Goes for Archfiend of Despair. No big deal. Ooh, that's a Kardur Doomscourge. So this thing is weird in that I think it's more like a static effect. Like, the creatures don't need to be in play, and we'll still get hit by that effect when our turn comes down, so that's kind of a thing. They put the boots on it, and gonna swing into our face. See what the mono black player's up to. Oh, that's an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Okay. See how they want to play this. Exile everything. This has color. Yep, exile X4. So all that stuff getting exiled. Ugin with 3 loyalty on it. We'll probably want to clean that up. I ulted an Ugin in a video the other day. Check out the Kethis Walker's video that came out recently. So let's play the forest. Ooh, funny story. If we just drop an Elish Norn, then Kaalia can't come back to play, and that's kind of fun. It's going to take 7 for the Samut. That'll leave us with 2 mana. We could go for Gaddock Teague. I am slightly worried, though, that, like, doing that might mean that we wouldn't be able to play the Cleansing Nova. However, we could probably do some stuff with, like, Sword of Fire and Ice afterwards, so, yeah, maybe we just do it. Cast Samut. Cast Gaddock Teague. Yeah, that Kardur effect is still in effect. So this at Marupal. Wow, we can't attack the Ugin. Ooh. Should have went for the sword, then. I didn't know we wouldn't be able to attack Ugin. Well, that means that Ugin's probably locked into having to kill this Gaddock Teague, though. It's annoying. It's not ideal, but he says the Teague shuts off 3 cards in his hand. Yeah, but he can just shoot it with Ugin if, assuming it survives back to his turn. Which it probably will, because only Sean can attack it, I think. There's a Beast Whisperer and a Dockside Extortionist. They'll draw a card and make a couple treasures. Luminous Broodmoth coming in gives them some protection against board wipes. Not awful. Oop, Jessica's Will targeting us. 6 red mana for opponent. Oh, that's a big pickup for Kaalia, isn't it? Archfiend of Despair back to play. Puts the boots on it. Yep. Oh man, that could cut us down really quickly. Coming our way, we can't gain life. Ouch. This is going to be a hit for 12. So we need to get rid of the boots. Then we can path it. Then we can gain life back. That's not a great place to be. Down to 13. Ooh, Winds of Abandon on Samut. 2 mana mode. Yeah, good amount of white in hand, so we'll get a Plains right here. We gonna lose some more life. Ouch, down to 7. Bolts the Gaddock Teague with Ugin. I guess we get Cleansing Nova on creatures. Doesn't seem great, but it's something. Final parting. Would he move the boots onto something else? That's a question. Because if he does, then we can path that and probably not die to stuff. Puts an Ulamog into the graveyard, so just trying to shuffle his graveyard. Okay, what's next? Board wipe again? Ooh, he's gonna exile graveyards. That hurts. That hurts. He gets 8 Thrall tokens. Ew, it's not the best. Archfiend of Despair trigger at the end step. That's an Odric. That's interesting. Cleansing Nova on creatures? Probably have to. Broodmoth will trigger. Opponent will get 2 things back. Dockside. Beast Whisper. 5 mana left. 6 if we play this untapped. Does that matter? I don't think that it does. There is an Ugin on the board. I have a feeling D-Man will try to clean up that Ugin. So I think we can go Odric, leave up Path, play the Stomping Ground tapped, pass like that. Odric trigger. Here comes Samut. They'll draw a card. Ooh, that's a Mangara for opponent. That can solve some problems. Would they hit our Light and Shadow? I don't know, given the state of things. We will need the life gain off Light and Shadow. Opponent's attacking the face. Okay, they're going to exile the Ugin. What's their second target going to be? Light and Shadow. Oh, they don't go for a second target. Okay. Oh, they misclicked. They were trying to hold control. Because then you can untap it and do it twice. So our Light and Shadow will survive. It's good. Comes Kaalia back to play. His second target was going to be Greaves. Yeah, I could appreciate that in this moment. Tell opponent we've got Path. What's their plan? Said they're not coming our way. Love it. Danny's not looking to find out what he's got, though. Gonna Swords the Kaalia. Ooh, that's an Ingarrick's Wake. That'll blow everything up. There's an Elvish Reclaimer. Interesting. How much is Samut? Oh yeah, it's definitely 9, but I think Samut, Light and Shadow is where we need to be. Samut coming in. Equip the sword. Opponent's got spot removal of some kind. They gave us the old where's it going, and I said somewhere else. We'll hit Sean. That seems like it's been the plan all game. Light and Shadow trigger. Get back the Odric. Light and Shadow is really good in a high creature count deck like this. Especially with Double Strike. No targets in the second one. Back to 13 life. That's something. Got protection from 2 colors. Also cool. Guardian Project for opponent. Elvish Mystic. Draws a card. Worldly Tutor. Oh, that could be bad. Sarah Ascendant. Sarah Ascendant disappointing. They are below 30 left right now, but I think they're just doing it as a 1-mana play to draw the card that they searched for, which... Oracle of Moldiah. So they're still on the value train. They're still feeling behind from their mulligan earlier and just not able to generate value early. If we're able to stick our board state, then, like, you know, we're looking to try and shut the door on people. And that can be the difference, too. Like, some games you can get caught up, and in this game has been a lot of removal. Especially with a deck like this where everything's permanent-based. You need your permanents to stick, and against, like, mono-black control. Pretty tough time, so... Eldamri's Call on top. That's another tutor. That's actually very scary. So the ideal world would be no removal, Odric, Elishnorn on our turn. Perhaps, maybe a Craterhoof. Odric Craterhoof could also be very interesting. Actually, yeah, this would be a better pump effect, I think. Be +3. This clears out 3 blockers, though. So that's something. We do have to be careful of Sean. Like, if he just has something really big in hand, it could just kill us. And we also have to watch out for just, like, Torment of Hellfire, big spell out of the mono black deck. Could be a problem. Kaalia into play. We're out of mana. They scry one. Boots. We would have Commander Lethal on Kaalia this turn. That's something to think about. If they don't have something big, though, they're down to 2 cards, then they may not be that much of a threat to us. Coming our way. Let's find out. Let's find out what it is. Eat to extinction. Exile target creature or planeswalker. Gonna hit the Oracle of Moldiah. Look at the top card of your library. Put that card into your graveyard if you like. Demon of Wailing Agonies. Gross. It's also going to do a lot of damage. It does have flying. We cannot block. That might be the death sentence for us. Wailing Agony is going to make us sacrifice. Down to 5 we go. Back to the command zone. Samut's getting expensive. We're up to 11 now. It's not going to be the easiest thing to get back. Bloodghast is a card. It'll have haste. We are very low on life. This looks like a swords or a path, but they could just be faking it. Liliana Dreadhorde General, that's a card. They will draw many cards right here. Well, just one card, I guess. Everyone's going to sacrifice their stuff. Opponent draws a card. Altar of the Brood, interesting. Not the worst thing for us with a Light and Shadow. If we can get another Light and Shadow hit off, we can get stuff back. Bloodghast coming back. Ghoulcaller Gisa in. We mill again. We have a Beast Whisperer go to the graveyard. Also a Sunbaked Canyon. Sunbaked Canyon does us no good. Winds of Abandon. It's fine. A little slow at sorcery speed given the Lightning Greaves and stuff like that on the board. 2 damage over to Sean. Elvish Norn does create kind of a problem for the Ghoulcaller Gisa. That's a Gaia's Cradle. Play the Gaia's Cradle. So I think we try to just cough a bunch of creatures then. Play the Redeemer. Play Elesh Norn. Bloodghast dies, and they'll draw a card immediately. They can almost use this like a sack outlet, which is a little bit weird. I'm going to put the Light and Shadow on the Elesh Norn, and then leave up Path, and pass the turn like that. Imperial Recruiter for opponent. That'll trigger the Guardian Project. It'll go straight to the graveyard, but they can search for something. Opponent gets an Aurelia. Okay, Aurelia's got high toughness, so it can survive the Elesh Norn. That makes sense. Here comes Aurelia. Guardian Project. Ronas Monument. That's a really deadly card in this deck, actually. Because like with the Guardian Project, he'll be able to just keep coughing creatures and then make something really big, and it's a problem. Aurelia trigger on itself. Kaalia back to play. Oh, yeah. It dies to the Elesh Norn. That does not work. They scry one. he says F. Yep. Elesh Norn's still in play. He said he had a Lord of the Void in hand. And he was planning... Actually, no, Lord of the Void's in his graveyard. I don't know what his plan was. Unfortunately, we're going to give them a lot of card draw with the Elesh Norn being in play against the Dreadhorde General. They can play a land, get the Bloodghast, and then make a 2/2. It's kind of a thing. Yep, they're going to do that. Altar of the Brood. See what opponents got. Land, Bloodghast, Altar of the Brood. Somehow there was a second... Oh, because the land came in. Yep. So we mill a bunch. Birthing Pod down. Land down. Opponent's Elesh Norn goes into their graveyard. It's probably a good thing. And Ghost Quarter into the graveyard. See what opponent's got. 4 cards. Dance of the Dead on opposing Elesh Norn. Don't like it. Don't like it. More Altar of the Brood. Ooh, comes in tapped. Does cut down our damage, and we do need damage. Jet Medallion, that's fine. Nurkana Revenant is a magic card. Our Aurelia has gone into our graveyard. Scavenging Ooze has gone into the graveyard. That can gain us life. Skyclave Apparition into the graveyard. Ooh, Swift End on the Elvish Reclaimer. Yeah, that's why I put the sword on Elesh Norn, because it seemed like it was going to give us a lot of relevant protection colors from removal. That's their last card. We kind of needed the body. We can do some Fire and Ice stuff. That's what we can do. I do worry about what this Aurelia can do. Opponent sacrifices the Nurkana Revenant. What they could have done? They could have used all their mana to pump it up first, and they would have... Well, yeah, they could have used all their mana to pump it up first, but they are going to draw some cards right here, though. That does seem very good. Mill 4 more. He has a lot of good things in the graveyard now. Sun Titan goes in. That one's worth getting back. They're going to play the Murderous Rider. So if we path the Elesh Norn right now, everything goes back to being small. Most of this stuff goes out of play, but then we really kind of need a path against the Aurelia. I know what this deck can do with a Ronas Monument, so I think we have to save it. I don't like it, but I don't know what our options are. Vivian Monster's Advocate. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. If it's a creature card, you may play it from the top. You can create a 3/3 beast with Vigilance, Reach. Oh, that's not awful. Or, ooh, the -2 seems good. Yeah, I think let's get this Planeswalker in. Ooh, we could get mana with Dockside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We would get a bunch of extra mana. There's a land on top of our library. -2. Odric. Ooh, we could get a Voyaging Satyr. Doesn't have haste, though. Mangara is a card. Thinking Dockside Extortionist. Need the mana. Crater Roof gives everything +4, but it's not game-winning. Fire and Ice? I think we Fire and Ice. Equip Fire and Ice. Odric trigger. Swing into Maru. Fire and Ice, Light and Shadow trigger. Fire and Ice, the Aurelia, Light and Shadow. Oh, we've got choices. Scavenging Ooze is an interesting card. Restoration Angel on the dockside seems kind of crazy. Let's do that. We draw a card, it's a Flagstones, Wild Growth on top. Play the Flagstones. Pass the turn. Nissa coming in. Guardian Project. Nissa trigger. Ooh, that's a Light and Shadow for opponent. Gotta watch out for that one. Alright, they're not going to try it this turn. Thankfully. Ooh, Doom Whisperer. Opponent's low on life, though. Can't go too far with it. I'm actually worried about this Liliana right now. Them drawing a lot of cards is most definitely a problem. If we shoot the Elishnorn, all their zombies die, and then they draw like 5 cards. Boots on the Doom Whisperer. See where they want to send it. They're going to send it at the Liliana. That's a good idea. That being the case, let's see. If we shoot the Elishnorn, this will go up to 4 loyalty and kill that. They'll still draw a bunch of cards, but at least it'll be off the battlefield. Yeah, I'm going to pat the Elishnorn right now. Pull this Band-Aid off. Yeah, they'll get to draw some stuff. We mill some stuff. Linvala goes into the graveyard. Opponent goes up to 6 cards in hand. A little bit scary, but at least the Liliana's gone now. Ooh, Grave Pact. No. Ugh. Well, they don't have another creature they can sacrifice, so that's something. But if they just drop the Bloodghast, we have to sack one. Ooh, we have an Arcana of Valor's Reach on top of our library. That seems good. Ooh, nice. Sean's gonna Wear Tear, our Light and Shadow, and the Grave Pact. So before Grave Pact becomes a problem, it looks like. That's gonna be out of play. That's good news. That'll actually maybe allow this game to end. Turn 12, we're just kind of stuck. Arcana of Valor's Reach goes into the graveyard. That's a really good one to get. Shut off the big sorcery. What we can do also, we can Craterhoof Restoration Angel. That should make our team huge. Bloodghast coming back. Altar of the Brood. Down to 48 cards in library. Starting to get a little thin. Sidisi, uh-oh. That's the tutor. Big spell and it's over. So we need Aven Mind Sensor. More triggers. You know what? We might have enough treasures to get through a Torment. Eldamri's Call on top. Damnation, on the other hand, not so much. Squelching Leeches. Power and is equal to the number of swamps. It's a 12-12. That's pretty legit. Gonna mill the Eldamri's Call. Ghoulcaller Gisa back to play. Control deck doing control things. Altar of the Brood. Shalai is a cool card. Luminous Broodmoth is interesting. Yeah, plus this thing. Let's go, Reach. Samut, Sword? Seems like the plan. Samut, Sword. Ooh, this has haste now. Light and Shadow, still a problem for us. We have exactly enough to go Craterhoof. We get +3 and have Trample. So it would be an 8, it would be 16. Alright, saying to go to Sean. Said won't be happy if I go his way, so yep. Message taken. Probably should have went Shalai first. Alright, Fire and Ice. Oh, he's gonna die on the first trigger. That being the case, just go to Maru's face then. Can't kill the Ghoulcaller Gisa. Oh, we got a second trigger when we're not supposed to. Yeah, we're not supposed to be able to play that land, so we won't. Play the Shalai, I guess. And I guess we play the Broodmoth. Yeah, play the Broodmoth. That gives us protection from board wipes and spot removal, so... Seems like a pretty good place to be. Our problem is if Danny goes creature, 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 creature. That's a really difficult thing for us to deal with. Pass like that. End step, Samut, all the swords. Here comes Samut. Yep. Guardian Project. Light and Shadow. Ooh, no creatures. He'd be casting creatures and pumping the Ronas if he had them. This will put opponent at 2. Unless he's got a creature with flash. Light and Shadow, oh, he's going to get stuff back. There's a Sun Titan in there. Yep, getting the Sun Titan. Mother of Ruins, yeah, there's some stuff. Mangara. Mangara's a big problem. Opponent goes to 2. Still not dead, though. Sun Titan, Ronas Monument, Guardian Project. Dockside, Guardian Project. I think it's only going to be 3 treasures, not too bad. Luminous Broodmoth, Guardian Project. Selfless Spirit is a card. If we can survive back to our turn, Craterhoof and this Planeswalker, if we -2 again, should take us home. If we go Craterhoof, get Karmic Guide. Karmic Guide, I'm undecided between Odric and Sun Titan. Ooh, Elishnorn is also a thing. Elishnorn should do it. Knight of Autumn, blow up the sword. Blow up the sword. Can we get through a round without a board wipe? That's the question. Oh, actually, we've got a Luminous Broodmoth, so Samut would stay in play, and that would be huge. Opponent's got 4 cards. Let's see it. Think we are finally about ready to win this game. Bloodghast, Altar of the Brood. Need to hope they don't hit our Karmic Guy. That would be bad. Umezawa's Jite, down. Sylvan Library, down. Land on top. Ghoulcaller Gisa, sacrifice the Squelching Leeches. Make a bunch of 2/2s. Oh, they're going to try and mill us. High likelihood we lose the cards we want right here. 12 mils. Haven't yet. Dromoka was on my radar, though. Finale of Devastation, Imperial Recruiter. Ooh, a Morog on top. Yeah. Opponent got any more permanents? Morog Craterhoof Land would do it. It's time. Minus the Planeswalker. Cast Morog. Vivian trigger. Get Karmic Guide. Karmic Guide getting Odric. And Craterhoof. Craterhoof trigger, make everything huge. Go to combat. Odric trigger. Abilities are going to spread. They're going to have a lot of abilities. And they're giant. Let's swing. So we've got Double Strike, Flying, Haste, Hexproof, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. Pretty good. Pretty good. This should do it. I'm going to do some blocks. Shouldn't matter. That is easy lethal on the damage. Down they finally go. Wow, what a grindy game. Mono black control is like that sometimes. Somehow able to keep 3 aggro decks in check for a very long period of time. It's a difficult thing to do, but we were able to break through in the end. I think some of the key moments in this game were actually the Sakura Tribe Elder. Just having those couple extra lands throughout the game, and I think we missed an opportunity to reanimate it one additional time when our attacks got messed up. Those few extra lands made a pretty big deal in my opinion, and also, I think the fact that opponents had to spend removal on other opponents and not on our stuff all the time. So I think that also played a role in it. If some of the spot removal came in our direction, I think life's a little bit worse for us, and I'm not sure if we're able to get there. So I think those are some of the big things. However, looking at the deck, like I mentioned, I did make a couple changes to this deck, and that's the inclusion of Sword of Fire and Ice, Umezawa's Jite, and Wild Growth and Utopia Sprawl, and also changed up the Hate Bears just a little bit. I went for Little Thalia because it's a little bit better against spell decks. 3-mana Thalia is decent, but it doesn't always do what I want it to do. Sometimes it's better than others. It's a little bit inconsistent in that sense, so I've always had trouble gauging it. But obviously, customize the Hate Bears to the situation you're playing against. If you know your play group and you know what they like to play, then you'll have a much better idea of what Hate Bears to bring to the table. But the main thing for me in this deck is his original build had, I think, about 41 creatures in it, which is just a really high creature count. I get that you can totally do that in green. Like, that is a thing that does work for green decks. Me, personally, I would drop that down just a little bit. This version is down to about 38, and I personally would probably go down to about 35, just because I want other types of utility in the deck. Late in the game, drawing a mana dork isn't the best thing for you, and there are a lot of creatures in this deck that make mana. Now, I know with things like Eldritch Evolution and Vivian, there are some ways to get around some of that stuff. What I personally would do if you wanted to keep the creature count really high is I would look at just getting a bit more utility out of your creatures. So that's going to be a little bit of removal. Maybe something like an Eldrazi Displacer could be kind of interesting. But just getting some creatures with some really interesting and powerful abilities on them so that you can keep the creature count high but still be able to solve problems. One that I'm thinking about right now that I think is kind of interesting, and it's not like this is insane, you have to run this, but I think it's a really interesting choice, would be something like Jaya Ballard Task Mage. That's repeatable removal. Yes, you have to cash in cards to use it, but I still think that there's a lot you could do with that. Basically, with a little bit of mana, tap it, discard a card. That's repeatable lightning bolts at your opponent's creatures, or you can destroy blue permanents, and, whenever a Consecrated Sphinx comes down, you just want to be able to get rid of it. So I think something like this could be really interesting, but it doesn't specifically have to be Jaya Ballard. I just think it's a cool choice for the deck. But anyway, that's my main point, is maybe get a little bit more removal in the form of creatures if you want to keep the creature count really high. You could look at some of the other spell-based effects in the deck, see if you can get those via creature, and if that would check both boxes of keeping the creature count high but also getting a little bit more utility in the deck. The other thing too that I think that this deck is missing is it does get choked up on mana. I think it's actually missing multi-ramp. Most of the ramp in this deck is like a Mana Dork, Kora Tribe Elder, and where you really have crazy games is when you get something like Selvala Explorer Returned into play. Something that I might look at would be multi-mana production. I would start with Thran Dynamo. I run Thran Dynamo in 100% of my decks if I can. Basically, as long as I don't run out of copies of it in paper. I would definitely look at adding that. You could look at something like a Somberwald Sage. Might be a nice little pickup. They're a few dollars, but they aren't terribly expensive. That 3 extra mana is going to allow you to do a lot. But if you have a little bit more budget to spend, you could look at Mono Green Selvala. which is just an insane magic card, as well as Bloom Tender, which is also an insane magic card. And those two cards by themselves, Bloom Tender and Mono Green Selvala, will alter the power level of this deck very dramatically, and I would imagine that probably even Somberwald Sage might do the same thing because of the untap effect with Samut. I've played these in my Jigantha Tap Creature Tribal deck, and I have them online, and I don't have them in paper, and it's basically two different decks because of it. These things are so unbelievably powerful when you have an untap, so if you really want to ramp this deck up, Bloom Tender, Mono Green Selvala, maybe a Somberwald Sage. But I would definitely look towards some form of multi-mana ramp for this deck, and I think that's really going to push it over the top. Another interesting one that I was thinking about that you really don't see much, but I think is actually pretty cool, Overgrowth might be a nice way to get some multi-ramp that's a little bit more sturdy than artifacts and creatures. I think that could be an interesting one for this deck as well. So anyway, those are kind of my main points. Is I personally would reduce the creature count just a teeny bit. I'd probably go to about 35 personally, just so I can get some other effects in the deck. But if you don't want to do that, I would look to get more utility out of your creatures, so that's going to be a little bit more removal. And I would also look to get a little bit more burst mana in the deck, and that burst mana will really make it feel extremely powerful. The game that he had the turn 4 Angelic Destiny kill was based off of Selvala Explorer Returned, so when you have more creatures filling that same sort of role in the deck, you can do some wild things. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon, the link below.